More Sean Cody, joined now by the head coach, Clay Helton, who we appreciate joining us as always. Coming off a tough loss against Notre Dame. Coach Sean and I were talking about it. We had said all season that if this team could play a clean game, we really believe in what they can do. They did it. They played a clean game, and it wasn't enough. Is it frustrating that it wasn't enough ultimately in the end, and you lose by 3, or is it encouraging for what this team can be going forward?
I think it's encouraging for what this team's going to be moving forward. To go into that type of atmosphere and to go into that type of place, playing a really, really good football team, 2 good teams playing, 2 teams that didn't turn the ball over.
Yep.
One team has 2 penalties, the other team has 5 penalties. It really comes down to your third down efficiency. It comes down to explosives. And, we really didn't hit that third down efficiency and explosives till the second half, getting 2 scores down and playing that catch-up game and came up 3 points short. I think it gives a lot of confidence to our team, especially young players. There's 8 seniors on this team, and there was a lot of first-time freshmen and sophomores walking in that stadium going, you know what? We can play with anybody in the country if we do exactly what Coach says and exactly, our assignments, our technique, our fundamentals. Don't make mistakes. Just play clean football. We can compete with anybody in the country.
Coach, what was the offensive game plan going in? Obviously, you watch film on Notre Dame, and you don't see a ton of 3-man rushes and 8 cover, but we struggled against it, so you're going to see it. What's the game plan going into it, and then talk about the adjustments that you made to get it going in the second half.
To look up and have 424 yards against that defense, that doesn't happen. Nobody has done that to them. And I really thought Graham did a nice job of making some adjustments at halftime to be able to. We saw two defenses. They basically played 2 defenses, 3 spoke, 33 double cloud, and then some 2 Tampa, and a lot of drop 8. And, first you run the ball. And to be able to get that started with Stephen Carr and Marquise and Vi, you look up and you have over 170 yards against that bunch, which doesn't give up a lot of rushing yards. It's one of the better fronts in the country. That's what you have to do. You have to start there. And then all of a sudden you start to get – and when that ball started rolling, every defensive coordinator's got that pride in them that say, hey, stop the run. Yeah. And then we started seeing pressure. We started seeing that cover 1 in the second half, started seeing some pressure, and then that's when the ball hits. I thought Graham did a great job. You saw early in the third quarter us really make a play action fake that got Amon-Ra down the middle of the field, held the cover 2 Tampa at safety just enough to get him down the middle of the field, but some nice adjustments by him at halftime.
I thought Keaton made a nice adjustment somewhere in the middle of the game, and these are my words, so certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he was a little skittish in the pocket in the first half, maybe walked into a sack or 2. He seemed much more comfortable with his movement in the second half, realizing that, there was a lot of 3-man rush. There was maybe more time than he thought, and it seemed like he was really in control of the game in the second half.
Yeah, he's learning with every snap and with every game. Here's his second road game. And we said going in there, hey, you know what, we may see some coverages that we haven't seen before from this team. And you're an athlete. Buy time. Be able to not force that ball like we did at BYU, but just buy a little time in the pocket. Have a little bit of patience. When you see it, pull the trigger. But if you don't have it, just buy a little time. And that's what he did. He created in the pocket. He kept his eyes up downfield. And I love how he learned in game. In that first drive, he takes a sack. He's hot. He's got a hot route built to his right, but he doesn't see the pressure coming. Takes an early sack. Exact same situation in the second half, and he hits Pitt for a nice 17-yard gain down to the 5-yard line. That's what you want to see from a quarterback that's growing with each rep and each game, is just his poise and being able to be coachable and do what you say.
Coach, I'm not much of a special teams guy. I know defensive line, but I thought in the game there may have been some hidden yardage there in punt coverage. I thought Ben did a great job of kicking some real darts down there, and unfortunately we lost. You lose 20 yards there. That's a big chunk. What's the technique that those guys are using down there, and maybe getting those balls pinned a little deeper?
Yeah, we call it sting punt, and it's something that we practice a lot. We didn't execute very well in this game. We've executed already before in this season, but you look at where those balls hit. They hit the 3, the 6, the 5, and the 5. We got 1 stopped, 3 go in the end zone. That's 45 yards.
Yeah.
And like I told in our team meeting today, that's 3 explosive plays.
Yeah.
Yep. That's 3 explosive plays. And playing defense, Sean, you start at the 5-yard line.
Oh, yeah,
you're like, I'm ready to roll. So we actually worked it in practice again today because Ben is a weapon. I mean, he can put
great.
he can put it anywhere he wants to. Both our kickers, I salute Ben and Chase. Knock on wood, but has he been fantastic?
I didn't want to ask you about it because of it.
I'm not even going to say it.
He quietly has been a tremendous story this season. This is a person that blew his knee out last year.
I know, but he's having a tremendous season, and I was waiting. Those two kickers that played on Saturday night, I thought did a phenomenal job on both sides, both teams, and with some huge kicks.
No secrets in football. You watch a ton of film on everybody else. They watch a ton of film on you. And everyone's running reverses and misdirections on your defense right now. You got beat on one in the second quarter in this game. It hasn't been the first time this year. What needs to happen on those type of plays to keep this from happening going forward?
Yeah, I thought one thing that Clancy did, if you noticed, we brought a lot of field pressure, especially with Talanoa off the edge, which deters it a little bit. Actually had the absolute perfect call on the reverse. We're bringing pressure underneath, and Christian got caught just surfing a little bit at the line of scrimmage rather than his job is to go straight upfield 7 yards and just sit there waiting for it. And he got lulled to sleep just a little bit, and it got outside of him. The other thing that we've got to do a better job as far as keeping that contained also is with the quarterback, and it's going to be imperative this week coming in with Khalil. But the railers on the outside, being able to get that quarterback down. Drake had an unbelievable opportunity on a third down that we showed today that he makes an unbelievable move on the right tackle. He's got Ian dead to rights and just gets outside, and that's going to eliminate field goal from that game. He was going to be on the 46-yard line, which would have taken them out of field goal range. So it's great to be able to show these clips to the guys and say, hey, guys, look at what a difference a game makes in just these plays. These plays. And young kids will learn from it, and they'll get better as we go.
Coach, you look up and you see 300 yards rushing, and that's a tough stat to swallow, I'm sure. And I think, for the most part this year, we've been really stout in that middle of the defense. I thought maybe that caved a little bit this game. What was your takes from that inside that defense kind of got pushed back a little bit?
Yeah, the explosive runs are what we're trying to limit, and you have a 51-yard reverse, and then you have Tony running for 43 yards on another on a missed tackle.
And bad
in between the two tackles. So, that's the biggest thing for me. Obviously, you play a good running team. They're going to get their 4 to 5 to 6 yard chunks. What you're trying to limit is the explosive runs, and I felt between the reverse, Tony's run, and then the quarterback adding another 50 yards. Those are yards you have to take off the table somehow. You can't let the quarterback get involved, and we did. Week
in, week out, you're taking away explosive plays in the pass game. I mean, even you before the start of the season said, the one question I still have is this secondary. I don't know. We're 6 games in. Do you still have a lot of questions? I get that they're young, but credit to Coach Burns and credit to these guys. They held season low 5.2 yards per attempt for Ian Book.
Yeah, and that's 2 back-to-back weeks. You play a great quarterback in Jacob Beeson. You hold him to 160-something yards.
This was the same, 165, I think.
Yeah, and this one's the same. And it's one I think Clancy's doing a great job of mixing up coverages from too high to cover 2, cover 4, cover 3, cover 1. But credit Coach Burns and that young secondary. They're very coachable kids. They're doing exactly what he's saying, technique and fundamental-wise, and they're really playing the ball nice. I thought Chris made a heck of a play on the post route, staying high on the receiver and knocking it down, and those kids are getting better. The beautiful that I take away, my heart is hurt for our kids, but as a coach, you look at it and go, man, there's a lot of freshmen and sophomores that are really going to be here for a while, and they're going to play really good ball for a long time here. And, that's one of the things moving forward. I just think over the next 6 games, we're going to look up at the end of November and say, man, gosh almighty, we did some special stuff for some young people and be back in Santa Clara.
Coach, obviously you preach, trying to move forward but talk about that sting a little bit. I mean, that's got to sting those guys. You're that close to getting only the 15th win of all time at Notre Dame Stadium. There's got to be tremendous sting in that locker room. How do you get those guys rolling in the right direction moving forward?
You be brutally honest with them. And that's what we did today. It's Tell the Truth Monday. And you sit there and you show the good with the bad and say, guys, this is the difference in this game. And we never want to feel like this. We never want to be on a 4.5-hour plane flight home ever feeling like this again.
I was on it too.
And so you're brutally honest with them, and you go right back to work. And And those guys went out to practice today, had probably their best Monday practice of the year, and they know what's at stake. We got a 6-game season. It's 0-0 with 6 conference games right in a row for a chance to go play for a Pac-12 title in the Rose Bowl.
Starts on Saturday against Arizona, the homecoming game. We'll talk about it next. You're listening to Clay Helton on Trojans Live. Helton, here's a rarity as Arizona comes to town on Saturday for the homecoming game. Kick at 6:30. We'll go on at 4:30. You don't often face an opponent, quarterback in Khalil Tate 4 times, 4 years in a row. We saw him back when he was really a baby, just learning the position as a freshman. He sort of got pressed into duty that day. You've seen him ever since.
Yeah.
He has always been a tremendous athlete, and they're putting up a lot of yards with him as a senior quarterback this year.
Yeah, he gets more dangerous with every year and is really, I think, has improved as a passer each and every year. You look 2 weeks ago, he throws for over 400 yards. He's a kid that we've known growing up for a long time, have been a big fan of his for a long time, just a special athlete in our conference and really one of the better athletes in the nation.
Coach, you see an Arizona team and you see an explosive Khalil Tate and an offense. What do you see from their defense? It seems like they, early in the season, kind of with some miscommunications, they couldn't really get it going. What do you see from that group?
Yeah, they've improved. They're bouncing in and out of odd front to even front and mixing up different coverages. I think they've had a lot in the playbook early. They've kind of simplified a little bit of stuff, and they're playing better ball. They really are over the last couple games. Had a hiccup last week against Washington, who I think had a little bit of a mat on, to be honest with you, coming off a loss. But prior to that, I thought they had put back-to-back games pretty good, and they look a little bit more simplified than they have been, and their kids are playing faster because of it.
One of the things that we talked about that maybe keeps Clancy Pendergast up at night this week is they have a backup quarterback in Grant Gunnell, who is a big-time prospect. He has played this year. He has won a game this year. He played a little bit at the end. Khalil Tate's always sort of has some mystery injuries. You never know if he's going to play or not play or could leave a game early. And then they switch offenses to something different. So how do you prepare knowing that they have sort of like this pocket passer in their back pocket if the game turns that way?
Yeah, you look at the 2 different weeks that they've changed quarterbacks and because of injury, and you almost have to prepare for a drop back pass team.
Yep.
And then as soon as Khalil's in there, yes, they have drop back passes. He does a nice job, but it's so zone read oriented, zone RPO oriented, play action oriented, tempo. And then all of a sudden you go to this other one, they go, wow, that kid can really sling the ball.
Yeah.
and they turn into 4 wides and dropping back and throwing pro-style concepts. It gives them a different edge. And he actually came in late in that game.
He did.
And did a nice job too. So it's something that you have to prepare for and kind of have to have a mini game plan just in case of injury if Khalil goes down or all of a sudden they make a change.
Obviously, a non-conference loss last week. You talked about, goals being winning the South. How much is this game a must-win then? Because you still have control of your destiny, but you really got to have this one, right?
Yeah, you do control your destiny. And like I told the kids today, I said, guys, you got to approach it, take a deep breath. You're 0-0. You got a 6-game season, and it's 1 game at a time. I know that's cliche, but it starts with you got 4 teams sitting there at 2-1, and we're the one team that our one loss is to a North team. You go do your job and win 1 game at a time. You control your own destiny, and it starts with Arizona. In every game you got to treat almost like a playoff championship game. That type of mentality. And I told the kids today. I made them stand up. The guys that have been in the Rose Bowl. I said, "You guys remember what your record was after 6 games?" And they looked at me and go, "Yeah, we were 3-3." And we ended up doing a great job in conference down the stretch, won the Pac-12 South, and had the opportunity to, really finish strong that year and get to the Rose Bowl.
Arizona, we were talking about this earlier, is different than most of they're a very classic sort of traditional Pac-12 opponent. They like to run with you. They want to play fast break, if you will. And you've played so many teams so far this season that don't want to do that have either slowed it down with tempo or they just are physical and like to grind. Offensively, do you say to the guys like, hey, This is sort of what we always talked about. This is the time now to raise the tempo, to be super aggressive, to get everyone involved, get that play count up. We talked so much in camp about that, but your opponents haven't really let you do a lot of that.
Yeah, you felt it in the second half of the Notre Dame game. I thought our rhythm and our tempo got a lot better, and I thought Notre Dame started to tire out. We finally hit the 70 play mark in that game, and you could feel it start at play 60, and that even in that last 2-minute drive, you could feel them back on their heels, and that's what you want. You want to get that high play count within this offense, and D linemen get tired, and that's what you're trying to get to. So it's a great opportunity for us over the next, basically 6 games. You're looking at teams that are more spread offenses. That's going to allow you to get more opportunities on offense.
That's what it'll take to win the Pac-12. It all starts on Saturday. We appreciate it, Coach. We will talk to you about it next week.